I'm very grateful that my family's right down the street from me. My mom cooked for me. She brought some udon noodles over. My youngest was sick, so she made some noodles, and she was able to bring that over. I get to see my siblings as well. I was fortunate that I was able to create something like that, create a life like that. I have siblings that lives nearby. I do have a younger brother that's in the military. He's in the Air Force, so he's currently in Korea right now. He's probably going to be going to Japan to be stationed there. He was close, but now he's far. But he'll come back. I don't know when he's going to come back. Hopefully, he don't stay over there permanently, right? But he might come back. But I'm very fortunate that I have the ability to be close to my parents, close to my in-laws, close to my siblings, and this because I had something that most people don't, you know. And this is very close to my heart. I want to talk about that today. We all want a good life, right? Don't we all want to have a good life? Don't we all want to have this certainty of the future? Don't we all want our future to be bright? I know all of us here wants that. Raise your hand if you do. If you don't raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand. Who wants a good life? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. There you go. See? Of course all of us do. Raise your hand. But there's only one thing that's required most of the time. There's this one muscle that helps us with that. We all want this muscle. And the truth is, we all want it, but we don't practice it enough. So I grew up, my mom being extremely Catholic, like I'm talking about extreme Catholic, super conservative. If you're Vietnamese, some of you, this Buddhist out there, but my mom was extreme Catholic and super devoted to God, going to church all the time. She's one of those hardcore Catholic and old school Catholic. And so we went to church pretty much as possible. She'd go to church every day now, and I talked about that in the past. But it doesn't matter what's going on, she shows up. It could be a hurricane in Louisiana, the storming, and if the church is open, we're going. So I remember when we were 14 years old, it was like that time of the year. It was like right before Easter, and my mom came home after a hard day of work at the nail shop. And she works about from like 9 a.m. to like 6 or 7 sometime. So today she got home a little bit earlier. It was like raining outside, pouring. And this was Holy Week. And if you guys are not familiar with that, it's a very important week for a lot of Catholics and Christian. Important time for my mom, especially. This means everyone's going to church. She looked tired that day. She's a nail tech, so it's not easy, doing nails, being down on your knees or doing manicure for people and pedicure for people. It's tough. And I used to do nails too. Remember that. I used to do nails too. I used to help her out at her nail shop before she took it. So I worked there, and then when she took it over, I had to go there and help her out a lot more. So that was fun. Sometime. It was fun sometime. So I remember the effort and time and stress with dealing with people, the chemicals and the rude customers. Come on. Like on a hard day is when you have a bad customer that's complaining a lot, and they complain and they ask for a refund. You get it done and then they ask for a refund. That's not fun. So she worked pretty often, pretty much Monday to Sunday if she can, and she probably took off like rarely because she works on Sunday. She go to church and then she go back to work. That's her thing. So she works really hard. But today, it's an important day. We can't miss it. So today was a day that we had to go to church because it's Holy Week. And so me and my dad, all of us, all the siblings, she packed us all into the car. It was 6 p.m., dark outside. I feel like we're driving through Armageddon. It was thundering, it was raining, the wind was blowing. I'm like, why are we going to church? Like we should be at home right now. We could be going to see God permanently right now, right? On this drive. And the wind is picking up, man, it was hard. So after 30-minute drive, we got to this church called St. Anthony. That's our home church that we go to. Now this is a fairly small community church. There's a lot of Vietnamese people actually. And this is where they all meet every Sunday and every Saturday or every type of like event. And that's where they pray, they mingle, and they meet each other. And there's not that many Vietnamese church in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But because of this church, they helped us move here. They helped guide us. So, we value the church a lot, this specific church, because the people there helped us, settle down in Baton Rouge, where the city I grew up in. So I'm walking through this big wide doors, 10 feet tall. I can hear them singing the psalms, and you get there, there's not that many people because a lot of people don't go to church on a regular Wednesday. Not a lot of people go to church on Wednesday night. It's middle of the week, people are working. So you got settled down in these long wooden chairs in this church. And it's like 15-foot long wooden chairs. And they're probably like 30 people in this church right now. And we're like one of the few 30s. And you have these wooden chairs facing the altar and all facing towards this big cross. So today we're gonna the purpose of being there that day today, which was for us to pray to the Station of the Cross in this Holy Week leading up to Good Friday. And the Catholics have been doing this for thousands of years. Okay, they've been doing this for a while. And you look at all the cross around the church, and then you kneel and you stand up, you kneel, and it just tells the story of Jesus going through this sacrifice, this journey of dying for our sins, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of stuff here. If you guys aren't Catholic, aren't Christian, if you guys are not, you guys probably won't understand, but I'm just giving you a really quick summary. That's what we did. So we kneel, we stand, we pray, we kneel, we pray, we stand, we kneel. I don't know. We did a lot of that. And you do that for hours. You guys get my point. On a Wednesday night, and it's raining outside. And so it was a real sacrifice for me at the time. I was probably like young, man. I was like 13, 14 years old. Why are we here? What's the point of doing this? I don't even understand what you guys are talking about. And I don't even know what the pictures represent because nobody really explained it to me. My parents just told me to go to church. And I saw my parents did this every single year. I saw my mom go to church all the time, super believer. I saw, how strong her faith was. And it get her, and that faith got her here, got us here. And that's what I want to talk about, right? So I had a conversation when we were driving to Colorado, and I asked her during this conversation, I asked her like, why did she want to be in America? Or how she knew about America, right? You don't just know about America. Right? It doesn't just come up like back then. So this is what she shared with me. So when her father and mother was working for the US government back in the 50s, so it was a very dangerous job back during that time because you technically could get yourself killed because you're working for one side and the other side don't really like you. The North don't like the South, and the South don't like the North. The Americans are there trying to resolve things, and it wasn't a very great experience when you're one side or the other because they were just trying to kill each other. And so when my grandparents, when her mom and dad was working for the U.S. government, she found they had these American travel magazines, and as a young kid when she was around 11 or 12, she would see all these magazines. She didn't understand what it was saying, but because she didn't know how to speak English. She didn't know how to read English, but she saw pictures and images, and it really planted the seed in her mind. She wanted to explore the world. That's like one of her dream, her vision. And, both my parents grew up during that time where it's like, there's a lot of hardship, a lot of suffering, a lot of poverty, a lot of killing, a lot of dying, a lot of pain. And what she found was God during that time. She found faith for a better future. That's what she found. And because of those American magazines, she was like, I got to find a way out of this hardship. So later when she got older, fast forward, she's like 20 something now. Those same magazines, that seed gave her a vision of a life that she wants away from where she is, this war-torn country, which is Vietnam. And because of her vision, her faith, her prayers, and her action, it helped her guided my dad and her to want to change their life by saying, hey, let's work towards moving to America. I won't go into the details. There was an opportunity for for people in Vietnam back. It's a lot harder back then. And it's still hard now, but during that time was really hard. And my parents were able to have this opportunity to find a way to get to America. And, I have friends that tell me stories too. Like, I have a friend that's like, he went when he was like 13 years old by himself on a boat. His parents threw him on a boat by himself. And he went He went to America by himself on a boat, which is crazy. And I was like, "How you do it?" He's like, "I had to have faith, man, because I don't know, people were dying around me. I had no choice." And so my parents, just had a lot of faith. My mom especially just kept pursuing this chance, right? Pursuing an opportunity to have a better life. And so that's the reason why we're here. My mom believed that it would be better. My dad was willing, and my dad was willing to support her in that process. And along the way, a lot of help from my family, my grandparents. This life I have is made possible, right? She had faith that things will be better and that it will work out every single day, and she tried. So why am I sharing this? It's because the one thing that so many of you are missing is having faith. Some of you say you might have faith, but are you really testing that faith? Or are you really like leaning into that? Why is that so important? Well, here's why. Um, the reason why I want to share this topic about faith is because from my own experience, right? I saw my mom having this extreme faith. I didn't know what it was. I just saw her, she believing all the time, just believing for something better. And I guess it kind of rubbed off on me, right? You don't know what you don't know until you're around somebody that gives you like some inspiration, give you something, and you don't know it until you later on. You're like, hey, yeah, I do kind of have some blind faith. That's why I'm here. That's why I was able to push through, because I believe faith is a muscle. If you don't train, you don't practice it, you won't get it. There's people that will practice it more than others. And there's a lot of reason why, and I'll go further down. I'll go further down this topic. But I have blind faith in my business opportunities, in any business opportunity. And that's both good and bad at the same time. But, I never think about what might not happen. Like, I never think about what the worst that can happen. Most of the time, I'm very optimistic. And sometimes you have to be that way, right? Sometimes you need to be optimistic because nobody else will be. Everyone around you is not going to be optimistic. I dove in with the faith that this might work out. The crazy part is that it worked out more often than it does not. It does work out more often than it does not, because why? Because most people, they don't have enough faith to actually go through it, to see it through. Sometimes having that blind faith will give you the ability to go through it completely. It's hard because life can be hard while you're trying to do that, right? You believe that you have faith that it's going to work, but it doesn't. But the thing about faith is that just because it doesn't work right when you want it, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So that's why we have to start developing like a strong foundation of faith. So I talked about this in the past. What is the opposite of faith? It's fear. That's the opposite. The two can't, work together at the same time. You have to choose either one or the other. Okay, you can't be like, hey, I'm fearful and faithful. I have a faithful fear. It doesn't work that way. You can't have both. You can choose one or the other. It doesn't work together at the same time. All right, it's kind of weird. So the old English root word for fear is fear, which means sudden danger or peril. Is anyone here in any sudden danger or peril right now? Raise your hand if you are. Probably none of you guys. You guys are able to sit quietly in front of a camera today, right? To listen to this. You're not in sudden danger or peril. If you are, please get off and go find yourself some shelter, okay? Because you should not be on this call. So most of us, most likely not. Now, if you're living in Ukraine, Israel, maybe somewhere in the Middle East right now, yes, maybe. But yeah, I'm in America. Maybe you guys are in Europe somewhere, in Australia. It's comfortable. There's no danger or peril that's happening right now, but all of that fear is in your mind. The mind can make up fears in anything. Dude, there's people that are afraid to open up the bills. Why? Because they know that they managed their finance poorly. They know they shouldn't have bought that item that, on Temu. On Temu, I'll tell you something like this 24-hour thing. I just found out. I didn't know about this before on Temu, but they got this man, it's so tricky, these guys. So you add an item onto your cart on Temu and then you buy it, and it gives you a 24-hour window, and they will keep charging your credit card so that you don't have to press buy anymore. So if you keep adding items, they will keep buying. So my daughter, my youngest, she's 4 years old. She loves Temu. I don't know how, but Temu got her. So Temu got her. My wife bought something, and like long story short, my daughter got a hold of her phone and started adding stuff to Temu. Next thing you know, a month later, an item came in. This was this makeup set. This like 50-pound makeup vanity table set came into our house, and we are like, what the heck? Who ordered this? And we are like, wait, I didn't order this. It's Ava ordered this because she added like 1,000 items to cart one time. And we are like, okay, it's time for us to delete this app. Okay, so anyway, long story short, like um some people are afraid to open up their bills because they mismanaged their finances. And so they're afraid to look at it. There's people who are afraid to review their finances. No, I used to be nervous about reviewing my finances. When you see a $20,000 credit card bill, it's scary. Right? It's scary. But if you review your finances every week, you know where that $20,000 is going. When I pay my taxes, dude, it's like $100,000 every year because of all the rental properties, my personal home, my parents' home. I help my parents pay their taxes too. And so when you look at it, you're like, oh, snap. Like, that's scary, right? But if you don't pay attention to it, you will be scared because it's the fear of not knowing what it's going to be scares you. But that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important not to just keep things away and let it sit in fear. Right? So the mind can make up a lot of fear in anything, honestly. That's the truth. Like the fear of the future, fear of things not working out. There's a lot of things. And that voice, that's what gets you to have a lot of doubt. That fear, that voice. Who lives in fear right now? Who raise your hand if you live in fear? If you are, raise your hand. It's okay. Bring it out. Okay. Hey, don't lie. You're afraid of something. Everybody's afraid of something, right? Some people are afraid of dying. Some people are afraid of getting old. Some people are afraid of losing their hair, wrinkles, losing their jobs, whatever it may be, right? Raise your hand. Somebody, you're fearing something. For me, I still get a thought of fear. Usually, it's not all the time, but hey, I get that doubt sometime too. And you know what? The crazy thing is not from me. It's usually from the people around me. They're the one that speaks doubt. They're the one that have fear. And then when you talk to them, they speak doubt into you and fear into you, and they speak it over you. You won't realize it, but the more you become aware, think about that. Who in your life that man, just constantly fearful about things because they don't have any faith that things will work out. So they are living in fear, and they're not willing to take action against the fear. And so they continue to live in that circle of fear constantly. And then you talk to them, and the next thing you know, you get sucked into that circle too. So now you guys are on this roller coaster of going circle and circle of fear. If you guys know what I'm talking about, think about who it is, and maybe time to hang out with them less. All right. A lot of that voice is not you. Remember, a lot of that voice is not you. It's somebody else's voice. So for me, guess what I did? I just stopped listening. So my mom does have a little bit of that fear-based mindset. She's getting better now, so I stopped hanging out with her for a while. During a part of my 20s, I hung out with her less. I didn't talk to her very much. Not because I didn't love her, I just hung out with her less because there was a lot of fear, inside of her too as well. So I started listening to people who had a lot of doubt, a lot of fear. For me, just start taking action. Focus on faith, just believing things will work out. Start taking actions on things that scares me the most. Start saying yes to things that make me uncomfortable, and continuing to try new things. to help me overcome some of that fear. And just remember, man, a lot of fear you have might not be the sudden danger. Like, dude, I met guys, I told you guys before, like I met people, especially when it comes to financial fear, like I met people who filed bankruptcy on like $50 million. And I met people who talked about, I'm gonna file bankruptcy on $5,000. And I'm like, that don't make sense, bro. That's a very dumb idea. If you're gonna file bankruptcy or something, man, like make it big, bro. Like you just invested $100 million. You went to casino and you made a mistake. You bet it all, and now it's gone. Like at least have a story, right? At least have an epic story. Don't be like, I'm scared. $5,000. I'm gonna go file bankruptcy. Don't do that. Right. So I met people that lost a lot and they claw back up. They get back up and they keep going. So it's not impossible. I met guys who, failed multiple businesses, lost everything, and then built it back up. Why? Because they have faith. They have faith that things will get better. And you know what? Things will get better. The only time things won't get better is, you do something illegal and then you get thrown in jail. You probably things will get better, but you just gotta wait. Do your time. Or you died. I'm sorry. When you're dead, you can't really do much. You're meeting God, and that's it. That's pretty good. That's good too, I guess, right? Get to meet God. So, you're not really in any harmful danger right now. Like, you're not jumping off a plane, like you're going skydiving, right? That's kind of risky. You're not in any of those kind of dangers right now. So just remember, the fear is the enemy that's stopping you from reaching your fullest potential. The fear. It's always fear and doubt that does that. And it's keeping you from success. Fear of failure, fear of losing, fear of looking bad. Now, if you don't want to lose face, everybody here know what I'm talking about. A lot of people worry about that. And so it stops them from doing things like I have friends that, man, I don't want to look bad in front of my parents. I don't want to look bad in front of my friends. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose face, So I don't want to start this business. Why? Because I don't want to look bad. So fear of screwing up, right? Fear of letting people down, fear of it not working. Fear, more fear all the time, throwing it around. Like it's like it's a free fall, right? So that's why my point is that's why we need to start focusing on developing a strong foundation of faith, because that's the only way you can overcome fear. You cannot experience fear and faith at the same time, like I mentioned before. And I bet you $1 million that you can. If you can, let me know. I'll give you $1 million. So some of the greatest achievement in the world by humankind was because of having faith. Because if we didn't have faith, guess what we'll be? We'd be stuck in a cave in fear for the rest of our lives. That's really what it is. Like, how much faith do you gotta have to step out of a cave and a tiger is about to kill you? You're about to get eaten by a tiger, but you're like, I'm gonna go out there and just have faith that I'm not gonna die. Right? That's how our life used to be. We used to live in caves, but we were able to have faith that our lives will be better. So let's talk about the area of faith that we need to build up. I'll go through this quick, shouldn't be too long, but this is what's going to help you have a strong mindset and give you strength to take action. So the four important focus of having faith for a successful life, of course, faith in God, which is your belief. If you guys are not a believer in anything, that's fine too. That's cool. But there's a foundation of faith somewhere that you have. And if you need to believe in something, go expose yourself to God. Find a higher power that's can, watch over your life. I met a guy last week, no, I think 2 weeks ago, went to a birthday party, my younger daughter's birthday party, and a friend's birthday party, and he does real estate for a very long time. And I asked him one thing, what was it that helps him, be so successful? He said, man, my faith, bro. You gotta believe in a higher power. I pray every day. Man, because dude, you don't know when bad things will happen. You don't know when things don't work out. You gotta have faith that your future is better. So regardless if you believe or not, however, every culture around the world, they have some form of belief. And it's a power beyond our own, right? Something outside of our control. So there's truth in traditions and myth and stories that there's existence of this God that's watching over us, right? That's why developing a foundation of faith begins with believing God. God wants the best for you and your future. So if you don't believe, just try, right? Give it a chance. Practice that faith muscle. That's really what it is. That's your belief. So number two, faith in others. Who here have faith in other people? Not too many. Raise your hand, right? Right? Not too many. The truth that you got faith in others is trust. There's a lot of people that broke your trust. There are a few people that you can trust in. So learning to have faith in people and in others is very important because it allows you to reach out to people to ask for help. It allows you to develop partnership, collaborations, and there's other great things, man. These relationships support you. So having faith in others means you trust that they will not hurt you, lie to you, cheat you, do something wrong to you, right? A lot of businesses are built on strong foundation of trust, having faith in the other party. So I did this real estate deal, and so I bought this. It was like 2 acres of lakefront land that me and my wife wanted to build a house on. And then I decided not to build it because I never go out there. It just kind of sat there. It's a nice piece of lot, like 180 view of the lake. I'm like, I'm gonna build a beautiful house here. And then what I realized was that my kids don't like all the big spiders and bugs. I'm talking about fist-sized spiders. These things were scary, and there was ants everywhere, and there was a lot of bugs. There was a lot of things flying at you when you go out there. It's in the middle of the woods, right? So that's to be expected. But my kids aren't. They're not used to that. They're used to being in a city where you're in a house, no bugs, and so and flying cockroaches. Those are the worst. All right. And so anyway, long story short, I met this real estate guy. This guy called me because I had the house listed, this property listed up for sale. It's an hour east from Dallas. And he called me. He's like, "Hey, I want to buy your lot for sale." He was like, "I'll give you 240,000 for it." I was like, "Mm." I was listing it for 220. He gave me 240 for it. It's not a bad deal. Okay, I'll take it. And so I said yes over the phone. And next thing you know, I found out, I started digging in. I was like, should I say yes? So I started digging. And the guy he owns like 100 houses. And I was like, dang, should I come back and renegotiate? But I'm not that type of person. He's an old school guy. He called me, he sounded a little bit older. And so he was an old school guy. I should have like, man, he wanted this house. He wanted this lot because it was his retirement home that he's building for him and his wife in front of the lake. And I was like, should I renege? Should I renegotiate? Who here hate being renegotiated on, right? And I was like, dang, I could have made another like 60 grand off this thing. I should be like, no, $300,000 because this thing was like 2 acres in front of the lake. It's worth a lot more now, but I was like, I said yes already. My words is the only thing I got. So I wanted to keep, I want to be in good faith. That's really what it means. You should, if you can't say yes, don't say yes. And so having faith in others, he has faith in me too. And, it at the end of the day, I wanted to, in good words, in good faith, I wanted to build that strong foundation because if I renege, that means I'll go back on my words and other things. And so you want to be around people like that. You want to have faith in people. Find people that are like that so that you have faith in them, so that you can trust. Having faith in others is building trust, and having trust in the right people will help you succeed. Why? Because those people will be there to lift you up, to support you, to help you. That's why we have this community. So have faith in others. Have faith in the people in the community. They all want the same thing. So they're not going to take advantage of you. Make sure you guys are reaching out. And strong businesses are built by people, good people that trust in each other. So faith in others is trust. Gotta have that. Faith in a better future is having hope. Having faith that tomorrow will be better is where you can find that hope, right? This is very important because without hope, you will quit. From my own experience, without hope or faith in a better future, you will give up very quickly. You will stop doing what you do. You will fall off. right? You won't persevere. You won't have resilience. You need to have hope so that you can get through the hardest part of anything in your life. Just know that the hard times will come, but it will end. That's how life is. Hard time will come, but it will end. And things will not be like that forever unless you allow it to be like that forever. An example, right? It's like my youngest. She always teach me a very good lesson. Well, she always give me a lesson to think about. She's 4 years old, and we always struggle with this. She always want ice cream for dinner. And who doesn't like dessert after dinner, right? Who here doesn't like dessert? Raise your hand if you don't like dessert. I don't like dessert. It's not good for you. Don't eat too much dessert after dinner. You go out to a restaurant, and you're like, hey, I want that cake, or I want some ice cream, or vanilla chocolate ice cream, right? Right after dinner. But my daughter always wanted first. And she's like, I want ice cream. I want ice cream. And I'm like, no, after dinner. Finish your food, finish your rice bowl. And then she's like, no, I want ice cream. I want ice cream. And then she'll do that for an hour, crying and screaming. It's hard for her. She's not getting what she wants. It's very hard, right? When we don't get what we want, we get frustrated, we get angry, we get annoyed, we scream sometimes, right? I do that sometimes too, when I don't get what I want. After an hour of this, screaming and crying, she finally stops. And then she eats. It takes her like 5 minutes to eat. And I'm like, here's your ice cream. And I'm like, why don't you just do that? Why don't you just eat that bowl and then I'll give you ice cream afterward? It's because in that moment, we want something, but it didn't happen yet. We all want something here and it didn't happen yet. So we're angry, we're annoyed, we're frustrated. Why is our life not where we want it to be? Why don't we have a man that we want? Why don't we have a woman that we want, right? Why don't we have the salary we want? Why don't we have the job that we want? And we get frustrated, we get angry, and it bothers us every single day. The truth is, when we allow the hardship to keep going forever, and not saying that, hey, it's happening right now. I just gotta power through. I gotta do something different. It will end, but I have to do something. I have to take action. I have to do something. There's always an action that's needed to get you out of the hardship. You just haven't figured it out yet. If you're wondering why you can't make it to work on time, maybe you have to think about the day before. What were you doing? If you were drinking happy hours every single day at 8 p.m. at night, maybe that's why it's very hard to wake up the next day to show up to work on time, right? A good example of why you're so tired to wake up to do product research. Maybe you slept a little late watching a TV show that you shouldn't be watching, right? Maybe the new remake of Game of Thrones. I heard about it today. Something in the Home of the Dragon or something, the House of Dragons. Like that's the next thing right there, right? Maybe you stayed up all night watching that, binging, and now you can't wake up at 6 a.m. to do just 30 minutes of product research. Or why you don't go exercise. There's many reasons. And so you're not doing what you're supposed to do to get out of the hard situation that you're in. So you have to ask yourself, why are you in this hard situation? And then reflect on how to get out of it. And just think about like my daughter, Ava. She could have just ate that bowl of rice in 5 minutes and she would have gotten ice cream, but instead she was screaming for hours. And sometimes I'm like, why is this girl like this? Right? Why is she so determined to get ice cream when she could just simply eating the rice? So passionate, so determined, right? Maybe that personality is a little bit of me too, passionate and determined. So I love that about her. The last thing, faith in yourself. So all of this bring faith in yourself, which is confidence. How can you make a stand for what you believe in when you don't have confidence? You won't and you never will. You got to start having faith in yourself. You got to have some self-belief. That's where the confidence comes from. But all of that faith in yourself, you have to start having faith in God first, faith in others, right? Faith of a better future. That's where all that confidence will come. Confidence is the result of your self-belief. And it's a result of what? Showing up, making it through, getting through it, growing through it, right? Making it all the way to where you are today. Just think about everybody here. Like, just think about all the hard work you guys put in, all the hardship you guys went through, because I know a lot of you guys probably went through something hard when you were young, maybe when you went to school, maybe you're going through something hard right now and you're still going through it. You're still showing up, you're still waking up. And that's where confidence comes from, because I did this. You think about from day one what it was like to now, not the future. Yes, the future is great. The vision of your future is great, but how far you went from the day one that you started, right? And just remember, confidence comes from that real results, and you have to reflect on that. You have to think back on that result you put yourself through. You are a survivor. You are all survivor, and you are very capable. So that's faith in yourself is confidence. And so how do you start developing this muscle of faith? You got to learn to have faith. Visit a place of worship. I don't know, go to church. Find a place. Start learning about it. Whatever your belief background you've been exposed. You're just ignoring it right now. Everybody I know who says they don't believe in God, I'm like, bro, somebody told you about God. It's a choice that you made to not believe. So go study and learn it. Give it a chance, right? Maybe that's what's missing. Just a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of trusting. Surround yourself with people with faith. You got to surround yourself with those kind of people. And number 3, pray and believe in what you want to happen. Pray and believe in it. Right? And this is from my own experience, right? Without having faith, I would never be here right now. Why? Because I would have quit. I tried for 3 years and I didn't make any money. And I'm like, man, should I keep going? In the moment where you're about to give up is the moment that it will happen. Or whatever it is that you're wanting to happen in your life. Because this moment is where we want to give up. And dude, faith is like believing something that's invisible, right? You believe in an invisible future that haven't happened yet. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't taste it. You can't feel it, but man, you believe in it. So, and it's crazy because you can't see God. You don't know God. Like, I don't know what the guy looks like, right? We don't know what we don't know if the guy, long hair, short hair, it could be anybody, right? Every single culture got a picture of God, man. Some people got a black God, black Jesus, white Jesus, brown Jesus, man, Jesus, all color, right? At the end of the day, we don't know what he looks like. And so when we practicing just believing something invisible, a better future, that's us practicing the muscle of faith. And it will give you ability to be more resilient, not to quit, and it will make you tougher. Just know that the journey of life is not easy. And it's going to be uncomfortable. It might not be fun sometime either, but it will not last forever. Remember, one mountain, you overcome one mountain, there will be another mountain for you to overcome. But making the choice of which mountain to overcome is really important, because there are mountains that just you don't need to climb, and there's mountains that you want to climb. Climb a mountain where it's your business, maybe it's your career, maybe it's finding good relationship. There's mountains where it's like, hey, you climb a mountain of partying and drinking and doing drugs all day. That's that mountain too. I'm trying to give that up. You can have choices in life. And just remember, there will be a day you look back and you're like, man, at least you tried your best. That's what's important here. At least you have faith, you try your best, and I promise you your life will be worth living. Right? So keep having faith, keep showing up. That's all I wanted to share today, because that's really close to my heart.